Yes, this is only half of what I've got in my house. I'm in ag wildlife. That's my status of my property. And what I'm going to be doing is teaching a lot of safety stuff. A lot of people, don't know the safety tools, don't know how to use them and stuff. So we learn how to use it. This is what I'm going to be teaching y'all to do. So one of the first things we do when we go out is, people talk about tools are clean them. Now, you can tell that these have all been used. So you can actually take your tools, and if you want to sterilize them, just get a bucket of water, get a little bit of chlorine, and put it in there, and just dip them in there, and you can clean them that. You can sterilize them that way. People are worried about different microbes, diseases, and things like that in their garden. Well, that's one way you can keep them from getting in your plants or messing with your plants or your soil. You just put them in a bucket of water, or you can put a little bit of chlorine, like a tablespoon of chlorine, mix it up, put them in there, leave them in there, take them out, dry them off, or rinse them off, and then they're sterilized. What I do, I like Lysol. Lysol is an all-purpose cleaner. So if you got grease or dirt or whatever, it cuts the grease, removes soap scum, deodorizes, cleans 100% of the 99.9% of the germs. I just spray them on here really good. I get a towel and I wipe them off, and then I go ahead and use it. Use the tools when I work in the garden. So these tools here, we'll start with the what these tools are. This here breaks up your soil. We got all kinds of soil. We have a sandy, loamy soil here in Leon County. We have parts of our clay. You got the red clay, and this will break up the soil. So you use this to break it up, and you use this here. You can smooth it out. This is like a small, what do you call it? Small gripping hoe. Now, I advise people when they use these, use them in an above ground garden. That way you can get down to it and you can work and get your garden ready to plant. This is your shovel. Shovels here to dig your holes, or if you've got a bag of topsoil and you want to shovel it, put the topsoil in, shovel it in, dump it in like that, or you can just take the whole bag and dump it yourself and use these to smooth it out. This here, this will help to mix the soil. So if you have a bag of topsoil, you want to mix it in with your other soil, you can take this and just start mixing it in with the soil that you've got there already. Then you can take this here and you can smooth out the soil on top. And then here helps you dig the holes to put your plants, or you can make a trough for your seeds. So these three here are good for an above ground garden. You've got now gardens that can go up to like 4 feet. I teach special needs at Centerville. We have a garden that's this high. This is what the kids use these in. It's for them. So it's a whole lot easier than bending all the way down and then trying to dig and work in your garden. All right, now. My biggest thing is safety. I was a safety and quality inspector for Southwestern Bell, and we were really big on safety. When you get in your garden, these two type of gloves, it's always good to have gloves if you're like pulling out stuff out of the garden, or trying to weed it, and if you don't want to get your hands dirty. These gloves here are sticker proof. You can go into roses, you can go to anything that's sharp. In fact, you can even deal with barbed wire with these type of gloves. And you can get these through Gimplers. They sell these gloves. These here you can get at a True Value, or Lowe's, Home Depot, or anything like here. These are your regular, just regular work gloves. They're thick, but they even have thinner ones. So I recommend these when you work with the roses or anything that's sharp. I have a lot of plants that have thorns on them. They're about this big, and they will not puncture these. So I use these. Now, with your gloves, if you're working with roses, I recommend, because you've got to reach in there. So you put this on. This is to protect your arm. So you put this in, you wrap it around. All right, what this does is protect your arm up to here. Then you can put your gloves on. Now you've got a full protection for your arm. Because when you're working with roses, you got some roses where the thorns are they're all the way down. This will help you work with your roses. You cut them so you won't get cut or scraped up to here. You can go to, most garden places will have these. If they don't, you can order them through garden magazines and they'll have them. I think Geffler's has them also. So this is one way of working with plants that have thorns, so to protect your hands and protect your arm. Now, the other thing, when we're working in the garden, we start using these tools. This is your long hoe. So if you have a garden on the ground, just right leg or left leg forward and work that, and it smooths out the garden. You can even cut weeds and pull up weeds with this. But I use this for basically smoothing everything out. This hoe right here. If you want to break up the soil in your garden, this one right here will break up clay, it'll break up just about anything. Now, if you have a soil that's a lot of clay in it, use gypsum. Gypsum will break up the clay. You can get it in liquid form or powder form. And you just put it on there. Eventually, it'll break that clay to where you can actually work with it. But the same thing is you're pulling this way, and that way it'll you won't get you'll get a workout, but it's a whole lot easier than getting down there and trying to break up the soil. So I would use this first to break it up. Use this second to smooth it out. That way you don't have to get down there to do it, because you've got your length here. And then you start working, smooth it all out. Then you can start working on planting your garden. Now, once we get it smoothed out, say you want to put seeds in. This here is another spade. And what I do with this, once it's all smoothed out, I take this and I dig my trenches. So you dig your trench, it's a V trench. You can go as deep as you want, and then you can lay your seeds down in it. You can put one line, and then another one, and you don't have to go down there and dig down and put it down. So a lot of this stuff is you can do standing up, and then you just drop your seeds in, and this is what this is good for. Also, it's good for breaking up clay. Sometimes I'll use it to break up clay instead of using the one with the tongs on it. So it's a planting hoe. It's best for digging furrows and planting rows of seeds. And what it says here, blade shape is perfect for digging, chopping, and turning soil. You can also use it for that. So digging, chopping, if you got clay, like we've got the red clay, you can chop it up, break it up, and you can dig it up. You can also do it for digging if you don't have the other. And let's see what it say. Digging, chopping, and turning soil. So you can turn the soil, you can mix the soil. So you want that soil mix. You want it loose. Soil that's compact, plants have trouble growing. The roots have trouble getting oxygen. They have trouble getting water. So you don't want to compact it. You want your soil real loose. So this is what these are good for. This one right here. And you notice when I put these down, all your tools have to be face down. On this one here, you put it down this way. This one here, you don't want to lay it down. I've seen people put it down, this is sticking up. I've had to get on my daughter for doing that. And you lay it down. You want these down, because if you trip and fall on these, you're in trouble. So you face down and put it like to the side where you won't walk into it. And that's a safety thing. Same thing with this one here. Face down. You don't want it up. Even though it's not real sharp, you can still hurt yourself with it. You don't want to fall on it. So it's all face down and away from where you're working. That's the best thing. So if you're working here, you're finished using this, you come over here, you lay it face down to where you won't walk into it or step on it or trip over it. Okay, now we will go into show you these others. These are two types of rakes, small ones. These are for small areas that you can't get your big rake into. When I saw these, I was in heaven. I said, man, you're trying to get around your bushes, your plants and stuff, and your big rake hooks on it. So this one here is really good for raking around plants and stuff. You can get it to small areas, and it works great. And it also extends. It'll, actually I have it extended already, but it will close and becomes shorter. But I like it this length, that way you don't have to bend down, just enough to where you can rake and get the leaves out, get the wood, whatever, branches and stuff out. Now this rake here is the same thing, but this does two things. What this rake does, it's heavy duty, and it digs in. It'll actually break up the soil also. So even if you have an above ground garden, which I've got 2 of them, and what I'll do is I'll dig and break it up, just using this one, instead of using that other tool. Once I get it all dug up, I'll turn it over. As you can see here, I'll turn it over and I'll use this side to smooth it out. So it serves 2 purposes. Because if you have an above ground garden, yes, that dirt will compact. You don't want to compact. So you got to get it ready before you plant your plants. So use this. You can use this right here, and you break it up. This here will smooth it out, get it ready to be planted. So, and this is made by Corona. I like the Corona products. There's another product called Visca. It's another one, it's orange, Corona is red. So you can get these. I buy all my tools at the True Value place in Mahia. They're basically, it's all they sell is garden tools and some other things just with gardening and a couple other things that are not gardening. But that's where I get all my tools from. Lowe's also sells this stuff. I think Home Depot sells it. But this is Corona, and it's red, and the Visca, I think it's Visca, is orange. They're both good products. I'm a quality person. I want it to last. So this has got to outlast me. So, but same thing is break up hard soil, because you want hard soil. That way the oxygen and the water can get down to the roots of the plant. All right, now, if you got a longer, like a wider garden, instead of using the shorter ones, they've got one that's even longer rake, and small, the same thing. It means you can reach further out and then pull in. whether you got leaves or broken branches or twigs or sticks, this is another one that can get around your plants. So these work great when it comes to getting around plants, you know, in your garden. That way you don't have to get in your garden to do it. And then a wider rake is kind of hard when you got them kind of together, because then you're trying to figure out how am I going to get to those. These work fantastic. So I always recommend these. You can get these at like Lowe's, Home Depot, or True Value in Bahia, or other garden stores. They should have them. If they don't, you can check with them. Maybe they can find it for you and get you get one for you. So. Now, this here, this is my pride and joy. When I worked for the foam company, we did a lot of trenching, and I had a crew, Hispanic crew, that worked for me, and we put foam cable in, and they showed me how to use this shovel. You wouldn't believe how fast they could dig a hole in a trench. And I tried it. I got so good I could outdo them. They couldn't believe, but this is great. It's a scoop shovel. I like this one when you're digging holes for trees or shrubs. I use this because you can, when you dig in, you can scoop it out and then throw it to the side. Scoop it out and throw it to the side. I know we've got the sharpshooters. I have sharpshooters too. I've got all three of them. I've got three of these too. But I've got ones, you got some that are even more narrower I use for digging trenches. But this is good for digging for your plants. So you're digging down, you dig down in, come up, and then throw it to the side. You want to use the same dirt that you took out of that hole with this shovel to put around your plants that you plant. So if you plant a tree, use that same dirt. Don't put any other new dirt in there, like topsoil or something like that. Plant, put the dirt back that was in that same soil, because that's what those roots have to get used to. You don't want to shock them with something different than what's in the soil. Or if you put something like topsoil in, they say that's not good. So the dirt that you dig out, you put right back in. And this one here is good because you can scoop it up and dump it in. Scoop it up and then dump it in. So this here is my pride and joy. I can tell you how many trees that I planted with this and how many trenches I have dug. I have many trenches. All my lines I've dug myself, and these are great. So I recommend you can get these at Lowe's, Home Depot, or True Value in Bahia. These are good shovels. Now, you can also get them a little bit narrower, but those are for if you're digging a trench. So if you're digging a trench from your house to like your water well or something, these will work great. So, but this here is good for your planting. So this is a good shovel. Now the other type shovel that everyone has is rounded, and those are good also. But I like this because it's easier, because you're actually scooping the dirt out and putting it in the ground. Also face down. Never leave it up like this. If you notice, if you step on this, what's going to happen? It's like that cartoon. Bam. So that's not cool. That hurts. So you always want to face it down. That way, it's safety. Safety is the number one thing. Okay? Face it down here. Now, what I've got here, this here is for heavy duty raking. This rake here, if you got rocks and stones and wood and stuff like that, that other rake, which I'll show you, it's kind of hard to get it to make it move or pull rocks and stuff. It's a heavy duty, and you can pull a whole lot more with this. This to me is for rocks and branches and twigs and whatever. And this will actually clean up a big area. I like this a lot too because I have lots of trees around my house and areas that, you know, you got fallen branches and stuff, and I'll use this to pull stuff in. Because it works great instead of the other type of rake that I'm going to show you after this. And this will last a long time. You can get this at Lowe's, Home Depot, or the True Value. Another thing you can do on this, you can turn it over. After you rake everything, you get all it, and you want to smooth it out, you can turn it over. And on the back side, what you're doing is you're just smoothing it out. So whatever, it's going to smooth it out, but the rocks and stuff or whatever is going to go up through this hole here and through here, and it'll look a whole lot better. And if you want to get the rocks and other whatever this didn't get, you can use the other rake or use this. But you can do it this way or pull in this way. This way gets the heavy duty stuff. This is the heavy duty rake. These are great. And what do we don't do? We don't leave it like this. Now just imagine if you hit this thing and this hits you upside the head. That is not cool. Now the other rake, this is my favorite. This is my leaf rake. As you look, you can see how much it's been used because it's shiny here. I use it a lot. I love this rake. I mean, if I can't find it, I ask my wife, "What'd you do with my rake?" Well, I put it over here. Well, it's not over there.
Yeah.
So, then she helped me find it. It's probably where I put it. I forgot where I put it.
Yeah, we know.
But, oh gosh, never should have said that. Okay. But if you look at the edges, you can see this thing has been well used. What I had to do with this, I had to wrap wire around it because it started coming apart. So I had to put wire to keep it to where it was strong. It has a spring on it. And I use this constantly, just raking leaves. And I spend almost sometimes an hour or two raking leaves. This works great. So if you use this heavy duty rake right here, you still got stones and stuff, little objects and stuff like that. You can't get with this because these are pretty wide. These spaces are. You can use this rake to finish cleaning it up. So, and the best thing, I do it like this. And then what I do, I come into a pile. Now you may get some leaves that have been there for a while that are wet. You can actually take this here, and I do it with the leaves, and I'll bounce it. And actually it'll break up the leaves that are stuck together. And then it'll come in. So by bouncing, this is what I'm doing. And it'll actually break up those leaves. Then you can get those leaves up and get them to a pile. Now, I tell my students, do not burn your leaves. If you burn your leaves, that's your waste. You're basically throwing away fertilizer. Leaves decompose. Leaves have nutrients in it. You can use leaves as mulch. I have piles of leaves, and eventually they'll break down. I did an experiment. I had a 12 by 12. I filled it up with leaves up to here. Now it's down to here. All right, now you've got mulch. You got free mulch. You got free fertilizer because leaves break down. So if you burn your leaves, you're just, you're putting smoke up in the air and you're getting rid of your fertilizer or your mulch. Plants like mulch. Leaf mulch is good mulch, but let it break down. Now what you can do is you can get a chipper shredder or they have cheap shredders, put the leaves in there and it makes them even smaller. Now you've got now you've got some really good mulch. So you take that, you put that around your plants. You don't have to go to like a nursery or a Lowe's or Home Depot or a garden's place and buy bags of mulch. You can use your leaf mulch. Now, some people do, some people, they'll actually take me, and I use a lot of my leaves to fill in parts of my gullies. If I see a low spot, the leaves go in there, it fills it up. And if it's erosion or something, I use the leaves for that. So you can use leaves for anything on your property. For mulch, you can fill up low spots. I have areas that, where the parts of some of y'all have gullies where it's starting to cave down, break off, and like dump leaves down there to help try and save it, protect it. That way I'm not burning them or getting rid of them. I see bags and bags of leaves out in front of people's house. Now I understand that they can't, if you've got a house in a small backyard and all that, it's really hard to get rid of those leaves or do something with them. Well, give them to, like Bryan College Station has a area where they take all kinds of stuff and they mulch it, and you can go get, I guess it's free mulch or whatever at Bryan College Station. You can take it there and give it to them. I think Buffalo has a place too where you can go get free mulch. But leaves are very good mulch because it breaks down. Actually, it goes basically into dirt. So you got dirt, free dirt. So, but this is a very good rate for leaves, and anything that's small, that's light, and just it's real good exercise. If I finish doing this, I work out. I work out in Groesbeck, and this is a workout. So if y'all want to work out, Reiki's a real good workout. In fact, my wife accused me of if I don't do something or if I'm busy, she says, well, all you do is rake. Well, yeah, I'm trying to clean things up, make it look nice. Well, you can do other stuff. Well, I like to rake too, so I love to rake. So that keeps me busy. Now we're going to, let's see, we talked about safety here. The gloves, the arm protector. You've got some other safety things when you're working out the yard. Now some people, and lately it's been very windy. These are good if it's windy. It protects your nose and your mouth. These are what you can use. You can buy a whole pack of real cheap, these face masks. In fact, one day I had to go somewhere and they required masks and I didn't have the other kind. I walked in with one of these. I said, well, this is good, supposedly. All right, if you're using gas tools, as we get older, we're all young right now, but as we get older, our hearing goes out, or starts to. I'm trying to keep mine. Every time my wife said, did you hear me? What'd you say? Boy, and she gets mad. So, but these are good, just put them on. There you go. And then it helps your hearing. This is when you're working with electric tools, anything that makes lots of noise. These will help you a lot. Helps your hearing. All right, if you don't have those, you get these little things right here that you should put in your ear, a little sponge-like earplug. You just push them down in your ear, and they also help. They're not as good as these. These are made, actually those are my shooting hearing things. But these here are just as good. But I use these, I have about 3 pairs. But I recommend these. And then if you don't have them, these are cheap. These sponge hearing aids. You just put them in and that'll help. You can still hear, but it won't be as loud. It won't affect your hearing. So, Now, another thing, and that's, I tell my kid, that's my James Bond. Yeah, I gotta turn it off. Let me turn it off. He'll go off. Okay. Oh, when they hear that, it's like, what is that? That's my James Bond call. Then I have to explain to them who James Bond is. You ought to see when I pulled my laser pointer out. Oh, they're excited. They say, what's that? That's my Star Wars laser. That's what I use for Star Wars. Really? It's amazing what they believe. Okay, to protect your eyes, these are good. These also help brighten everything up when you're working outside. And they also protect the sides because you don't want anything getting in your eyes. So when you use a weed eater, which I'll be explaining, it can go anywhere. So you don't want anything coming in and hitting yourself in the eye. Another one, this right here, this has a little ridge on the top. You can probably wear these over your glasses, like this. And this will help protect. Because the tools that you're using, you don't know when it's going to hit something and it's going to toss it at you. So when it tosses at you, you don't want it to hit you in the eyes or hit you in the face or something like that. I've had it happen, and it hurts. So, but these are good. So always keep a pair of safety glasses when you're working outside, using tools or anything that will move soil or dirt or any type of particle. Now, if you're outside and you're working, sometimes it's good to wear a long sleeve shirt. Because you could be out weed eating or doing something and it will hit you in the arm or hit you, on the shoulder or something like that. But this will protect you. Whether it's no matter what type of shirt, something to keep you protected from outside, from something being slung at you. I tell people never weed eat with shorts on. I had jeans. Let me tell you how it hurts when they hit a rock or something and that rock hits you even in the jeans, but it still protects you. But if you weed or do any type of work, whether it's the chainsaw, which we're going to go over those, this is good because things will be slung at you. Same thing with a weed eater. So with a long sleeve shirt, you can put this on, the ear protectors, put the goggles, you want the goggles to protect your eyes, and you can wear this also. Because you may be weeding or cutting something and there's a lot of dust. Well, you're going to be breathing in that dust. So you don't want to breathe in that dust. And then if it's got thorns and stuff or sharp or anything, you can wear these gloves. These are the ones that are puncture proof. If you don't have these gloves are fine. And you got other gloves too, but these are what I've got. But you get these, and they got all different types of gloves at the hardware stores. And you just got to, just try them on, make sure they're comfortable for you, to where you can work with them. And you work your garden. So that way, when you're working out in the garden, you're safe. You always want to be safe. You don't want to, get hurt or messed up or anything like that. I talked to a guy, who company that does tree trimming, and one of his workers, what was he doing? He's doing something very unsafe on the power lines, or cleaning tree limbs around the power lines, and with a tree saw, and he got nailed, and he got fried. So that's safety. this is what I had to do, go out when I was a safety inspector, is when I go out and check on these people, because it's dangerous out there. Whether you're working, cutting trees, or you're working, cutting bushes, or even rose bushes or anything, you got to be careful, you got to be safe. In fact, we used to give tests to our workers on safety. Now, another thing too, you can wear a hard hat if you don't want something to fall on top of your head. This is my work hard hat. I kept everything off my truck, but wear a hard hat. If you don't have one, just put a cap on, you know, and protect your head. But hard hats are also good, especially if you're cutting tree limbs. You can get a cheap hard hat. I mean, they're good, but they're not as expensive as what this is. Actually, this is free for work. But hard hats are good. It's safety. You don't want to get hit upside the head. Now, tree saw, Corona. They also make tree saws. All right, this here has a curved blade. When you're cutting, most of the cut comes from back. These are sharp. So when you're cutting, anything you do, it's got to be in front of you. Don't do it to where it's facing you, because actually you're harming yourself. This thing could slip. You could be doing something wrong or trying to cut this way, and it'll slip and it will cut you. So when you're cutting this way, it's away from you. And then another thing too, you've got branches. A branch will come out and you might be cutting it, and then it pinches. It'll start pinching. All right, what I do, I get this out, because sometimes you can't get the blade out. I'll come underneath, I'll cut some underneath, I'll go back on top, and I'll cut at an angle that makes a V, and then the branch will break. So, but this here is the cutting blade for branches. It's made by Corona. It's a pruning saw. It's an 18-inch pruning saw. And it's a razor tooth. That means these are sharp. So you got to be really careful. I'd advise you to wear gloves with these, so you don't make a mistake and cut yourself, because you will cut yourself. So, and then if it's a thick branch, you can do it like this, but wear gloves. You can wear safety glasses, and that'll help protect you from getting cut. And this is another one of my toys. Now, this here, oh man, I love this thing. I prune all the time. I walk around my property looking for stuff to cut.
Me too.
I look at this and say, oh man. And I mean, this is, and I tell my wife, do not touch these. So,
does that work?
I tell people, being in the Marine Corps, being a martial artist, and a lineman, and all that bit, I was still scared of my wife. So,
Smart man.
So these are good for pruning roses. When you're cutting roses, wear gloves because of the thorns. You can put that arm protector on, or wear a shirt. A long sleeve shirt, you don't even have to wear the arm protector. There's something to protect you from here on down. Because I actually go in and I cut the roses. Now when you cut roses with these, you cut at an angle. So you cut the tip, make sure it's at an angle. I like doing that, even though a lot of rosarians that do roses, the water falls or it rains. You don't want the water to sit on top of that cutting. You want to go off the cutting. So I cut it at an angle. Now these, when you cut, never twist. Just cut. You twist them, you're going to loosen this up, and you're going to have a gap. Then it's really going to be hard to cut, because it's not going to cut. You're going to have a little piece in the middle, then you're going to have to try and figure out how to cut that. So, and then keep them sharp. So what I use, bring your tools out. You want me to sharpen his tools. So, you've got a garden file. We've got lots of files.
We use it very often, do you?
You're really going to get me in trouble. Okay. I do have another file I use, but I'm going to use this too. Okay. We go back and forth. He's Navy, I'm a Marine, but the only thing I like about him is they used to keep us well fed. All right, so when you're filing the blade, go at an angle and file at an angle. And you just check it. They go on the other side because you'll have little nicks sticking up, and file those down.
Greg, is that file round on top and flat on the bottom?
No, ma'am. No, it's flat. Now you can get rounded files. I do have a round file at home I use, but this one here is flat. But there are files, like you said, that are rounded. So, and when you file away from you. You don't want this thing towards you. You don't want the clippers or the file. And file it just like this. Then after it's filed, pretty sharp, you put this up in here. Now you've got a very sharp cutters. You gotta be very careful with these. So when you're cutting something, make sure your fingers aren't in there. You don't get your fingers confused with a branch or something. That's not cool. You cut yourself. So, but these are very good. This is Fisker cutters. I recommend these over some of these others. They're heavy duty and they work great. I have 2 pairs and I use them all the time. And my wife, I go out, I'll take these with me. If I see something I need to cut, I'll cut it. And they're very, very good tool to use. Now, this one here, these loppers, these are the long ones. They actually they'll go short. I keep them long. This is Corona, so the Corona loppers. See, because both sides will, get smaller. But I use these like if I want to reach into plants or something, I'll use it for that. So if I want to go up high, like high branches, I'll cut up high. And these are great. These will give you a workout when you're cutting high branches because you hold these up. Now, when you use these, because I always look at the blade and the side, you don't want to see light. You see light, you've got problems. You will not cut a good cut on that branch or limb. Some people make the mistake when they cut, then they twist. When you twist, you're loosening this part right here, the blade and this section right here that the blade goes to. Eventually, even if you try and tighten it, it's no good. It's not going to work anymore. So when you cut and that's it. Never twist like this as you cut. Because you want to keep these. These are not cheap. So, and same thing with the file. You take the file, and you put the blade away, and do the same. And that will keep it sharp. And then you do the other side. Now you've got a sharp blade. Another thing too is oil them down with WD-40. And they have other brands too that are good, so it keeps them loose.
So if they've been twisted,
Ma'am?
if they've been twisted, like All of ours? Is there anywhere that?
Don't feel bad, I don't.
Yeah, is there anyone that can fix that, or is it just?
I like, I was talking to Rick, I like the True Value up in Mahia. Actually, they're the ones that told me about the twisting, because they get more people that come in and buy new ones, and they look at it, and they tell them that's why it's that way. What I would do too is these nuts here is try and tighten them. And then and before you tighten them, put in WD-40 in between all the joints, and that should help work. And eventually, it should bring them together. So I always do that, because what you're doing is you're loosening all this. These are lock nuts, so it helps, but twisting it, you can still make it. Everybody does it. Even commercial workers twist. And I was told never twist it, because this is what happens. They make a fortune off these things because people twist them and mess them up. So, yeah. So just cut it, and keep cutting it, and then it should cut. As long as you have a sharp blade, you shouldn't have any problems. Now, if yours is twisted, try and tighten it right here, but I would move it to lubricate it also. This is a Corona, which is another good. It's a good set of tools. These, they call them gator bites. These are good for shrubs. Same thing. You sharpen it here. You sharpen away. File. Always away from you. And with the other side, same thing. Now these have teeth on them, which makes it even a whole lot better to cut. So when I'm cutting shrubs and stuff, even my roses, and I'm going to tell you now, I'm hard on my roses. I have rose bushes right now that I think they're dead. I'm not going to go in with those orange shears and do this. I take this and I go in, I keep it upside down like this, and I cut. And eventually, then ones that I don't want, the branches, I'll go down to the bottom of the bush and I'll cut those off, those stems off. But if it's high and stuff, if it's a big rose bush, then I'll cut. Now another way of getting your rose bushes trimmed, I had help. I had this furry little creature with two little horns sticking up, went straight to my rose bushes. And I stood there, and he looked at me, and he looked at the rose bushes. I said, okay, go ahead. Because I was going to trim them anyway. He actually trimmed the rose bushes for me. They do like roses, the deer do.
Oh, they do.
So, yeah, I couldn't, you didn't have a name for him, but he actually come up to you and let you pet him. But I said, go ahead, trim the roses. Now I don't have to do it. So, this is another way of trimming your rose bushes. All right, now, I wasn't going to bring all of them. Chainsaws. This is an electric one. You can tell it's been used. It's a Stihl. I believe in this brand. Other brands are good, but I believe in this one. I've always used this one. This is electric. Always, this here, when you're finished, this is your brake. So when you get ready to use it, you take this off. And you pull this back. Now it's ready to be used. And then you hold it and you hold it out. Whether it's the gas, I have two gas chainsaws and I have a battery operated one. And I figured I'd just bring this one just to give you all an idea how to use it. Make sure your chain is not super tight. You want it kind of loose. And make sure it's sharp. Some places they'll sharpen it for you, or if you know someone has a sharpener, they'll sharpen it for you, or you can sharpen it yourself. That way you don't have to buy a new chain. So when you're cutting, keep it out. Wear the hard hat, wear the goggles, always wear the goggles. You can put the mouthpiece, the mask on that protects you from breathing in all types of particles and stuff, like if there's dust or anything, and hearing aid. So put a hearing protectors on also. Long sleeve shirt. Now, if you're cutting trees down, I recommend chaps, which goes to protect your legs if you're cutting low. But when you're cutting, you cut out. Everything's away from you. And watch what you cut. Make sure if you're cutting a tree, it goes that way and not this way towards you as you're cutting. And what I'll do later on, I'll get with Richard and I'll show you how to cut a tree down. It's the safest way. But you can hold it here and here. But there are ways of cutting down. But as far as this one here, you know, you can cut a limb, just cut it like this. Now, if the limb starts cranking this, then what I do is I'll go underneath, cut a little gap, and then I'll come in and I'll cut sideways, and I'll break the limb that way. I'll cut it that way. These are very dangerous. I tell people that. I had a boss who actually, I don't know what he was on, but he cut his foot with a chainsaw. He wasn't paying attention. Wear boots. Yeah, he just wasn't paying attention. So, but after you're finished with it, you know, put this on. Now, another thing too, you always check the chain, you check the oil. Because that chain will not go if there's no oil in there. It's a lube type oil. So I use, you can see I left still. This is still. You take this cap off and you pour oil and you have a little, it shows you a little window there. It tells you how much oil that you have on the side. You can see that. All right, and you fill it up, and that's what keeps all this lubed. That way you won't burn up your chainsaw. You don't want to do that. So, but you always put this on to protect it. This goes back. It cannot be used. I can plug this in, press it, it will not start. This is a safety handle right here, because you can carry it this way too. It's like a brake. Yes, sir. There. So now it cannot be used. This is one of my, I have 5 chainsaws. Okay, now we get with the weed eaters. I also have gas weed eaters that are big. This is an electric weed eater. Same thing, when you're weed eating, you always keep it in front of you, like this. Never turn your body. What does that do? It messes your back up. Wear your ear protectors, safety goggles. You can wear a mouthpiece, protect, so stuff like, you don't breathe in dust and stuff like that. It's a long sleeve shirt. This thing will sling. I know my other ones do. I have one that's real heavy duty. And this twine here will actually throw rock. So you got to be careful when you're cutting, because you don't know what's actually in that ground, on that ground. It's under the weeds or plants and stuff. And you plug it in, you take your cord and you wrap it around here. That way this will not come out. The cord will not come out. It's a safety thing that they had. So you take your cord, what it does is it goes in here. Whoops, that's the wrong end. thought I said the Navy. As you put it in, and then this goes up into here. That's just another safety thing. Just like that. And that protects it. So it's all about safety. And you can hang it up. That's what this for is, just to hang it up. Now these cords, when you get these, if this thing is nicked, you can see the wires. You can see the white, black, and green wires in here. It's no good because you can get electrocuted. That is a safety factor. We if we saw any type of wires, anything, you do not wrap black tape around it. And I see, my wife used this one. All right, this is what you don't want. I talked to her. So, this is what you don't want. I talked to her about that. She hates when I talk safety around me. You still think you work with them? So, but this is what you don't really want to do. Get a new one or get a splice. There's a certain splice that you can splice them together and it'll protect it. So, because if you get water in there, then you've got problems. If water kind of gets in it, because water can basically get into everything.
But if the jacket's just nicked?
Ma'am?
If the jacket is just nicked?
If it's nicked and you can't see that's fine, that's fine. I didn't like it if you can see the white and the green, because if that gets nicked, you don't even know. What we were told, a small pinhole, electricity can go through a small pinhole. So say you're out there weeding and you stand in a puddle of water and as part of this hits the water, then you get electrocuted. And this is what they had told us on this.
The easiest way to find out if it's got a hole in it is to roll it up before you unplug it. That way you'll hit that nick before you get to the plug.
Right.
And it'll let you know.
Oh yeah, we'll let you know. Not cool. Okay, now, last but not least, when y'all go out, pick leaves up. I'll start from the beginning. Everybody goes, and they go, oh, you know, the leaves, they don't think. You know, they just go out there and they want to, you know, they start picking them up and not knowing what's in those pile of leaves. What I tell people to do is when you go, you check around those pile of leaves. If you can get one of these. All right, this is a curl snake, very deadly. Basically, this is how long they can get. Now, the snake that you can't see in the leaves will be your copperheads. They blend in with the leaves. I told Richard one day I was reaching down for the hose, and the hose started moving. Hoses are not supposed to move. So I said, okay, it was a copperhead. I said, okay, guy, okay, I'll deal with you. So I caught it, and it's in the freezer right now from school. But you can catch, you don't know what's in there, because leaves are warm. When they mulch, when they decompose, they form heat. And so the snakes will go in there to keep warm. My dogs do it. They'll go in the leaves and they'll lay in there because it's warm. So, but yes, this is my, cool. I got more too. So, but now, if you do pick up leaves, I recommend these. And they sell these at all different garden places.
I'll get you a pair of them.
After you get your pile, you got your wheelbarrow here, and you just scoop it up and you just put it in. Now Now bend your knees some, don't use your whole back the whole time. You don't want your back to mess up, but bend, scoop it up and put it in. I even sometimes rake the leaves and then scoop it up. These are great, they have different kinds like this. You know, I like these. So, you know, I keep these, you know, next to my tractor and my wheelbarrow and all that. And then you can dump the leaves. So, but these are great. That way you don't have to reach down in there. Oh my gosh, do I see a copperhead? The copperhead will bite this instead of the leaves, instead of you. Now, copperhead, you have to step on them before they bite you. A rattlesnake will actually challenge you. They will let you know first, then they will challenge you. I've had copperheads right here, about 2 feet from me, and didn't do a thing. And then I went and got my sticks and picked it up, and then, you know. But a rattlesnake will challenge you. A water moccasin, the same way, you have to step on them for them to bite you. All snakes, but the rattlesnake is the one that will challenge you. So you got to be careful. But a copperhead actually will blend in with those leaves because of its color. So, but I do recommend these if you're going to pick up leaves. So that should do it. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Okay, well, if you got any questions or anything, I'll be at the Master Gardener meeting, and you know, I'll be glad to answer them for you. And then maybe next time, you know, I can bring some more tools. If we do it again, we can go with some other tools, the other half of my tools, garden tools. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate it.